Hello, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's just a great honor and a great joy to be here. Um, I want to use this opportunity to really appreciate God, the Almighty, who made it possible for me to have a voice to share with all the wonderful youth across the globe. I won't take this opportunity for granted. And again, I want to really express my gratitude to Marilyn, to Kofish, and Merida, my Kathy, who really uh, permit me to join this global youth conference for advocacy and compassion. And I will not fail to acknowledge um, Anon, so wonderful, who reached out, who I reached out to, and who allowed me to be with all of you. And again, to say thank you to Lucy Gray for walking me through this um, event. The Ring Central platform for the very first time. I enjoy really this fellowship. Um, Without um, wasting much time, I want to introduce myself and who we are. Um, my organization, I run a local NGO here in Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, United for Peace Against Conflict International. And this organization mission is to equip young people with the communication and the leadership skill necessary to address the root causes of hatred, discrimination, and violent conflict. We create a safe space for young people to meet face to face with those they have been taught to fear. Together, they develop personal connection based on empathy and respect and the confidence to transform divisive attitudes in their community. Our vision is a more just and inclusive world where engaged global citizens are fueled by the desire and the skill to come to deeply understand different perspectives rather than simply perpetuate their own. Global Youth Conference, Advocacy and Compassionate Action. I want to begin by saying that in my experience of self discovery, it's so critical for me to really come here to share with you my journey on peace building and how I discover the power of transformation on peace leadership model as a tool for conscious social change. I have so much to share with all you wonderful folks, but we are going to take it step by step. How do I describe peace leadership model? From my experience, it is a journey towards discovery, a journey of self-discovery, sustained collaboration, enabling a flourishing space with self and other, which invite individuals on that journey to mutually dignify equally and experience the order of the connectedness of the oneness. There are so many aspects I'm going to highlight. Peace leadership has this transformational power for self-discovery. I want to bring my journey of my life when I discovered myself. It was in the year 2012, after a terrible post-electoral human slaughter here in Cote d'Ivoire. And that event really changed my life. But I want to say that I did not have any prior background on peace building, neither on conflict transformation. But that event, the post-electoral human slaughter, changed something in me. It made me to discover my new self. And that was what led to the creation of our organization, If Passé, in Cote d'Ivoire. So I want to say that it takes our authentic discovery of self for us to experience a new order of connectedness from the another. And for that to happen, we need to really have a compassionate heart. Compassion is one of the components of peace leadership model. And the integral practice of the peace leadership model is in four modules. One, it has to do with first self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness, and social management. In my experience, that changed my whole life. At that post-war in this country, Cote d'Ivoire, where I stayed, the collapse of the system, the community, brought about such change in my life, and I began to question what could be done. Why must violence be used in seeking for social change? Where is our heart? Where is our consciousness? And that became a thought in me. Advocacy, for me, is about standing for change. And for you to stand for change from a compassionate standpoint is to put your heart at the center of your action. That is exactly what I did. A community in Cote d'Ivoire, at the west of Cote d'Ivoire, western part of Cote d'Ivoire, precisely 400 kilometers from Abidjan, find themselves in a deep tribal clan war, to the point that the government declared that zone as a red zone. No one goes there. Everyone declares that Djokwe in Cote d'Ivoire is a red zone. But the compassion in my heart, notwithstanding that I did not have prior background in peace building, neither do I know the tools that I could use. But the only thing that I had with me was my heart. My heart was authentic about how do I challenge the situation. Guess what? I have a barber shop. My barber shop was on the street, and during the collapse of the system, my barber shop was the only public place that is open for neighborhoods to come. I'm unveiling the discovery part of my journey as a peace advocate and a peace leader. People come and we start talking about the common issue that affects everyone, our story of now, the public narrative, war, killing. How could we stop this? Often and on, that really continues, connecting me to the neighborhood, to the asset of the community. Remember, I did not have any prior background on peace leadership or conflict transformation. Notwithstanding that I don't have that background, couldn't stop me. But my heart was authentic to see the story of now, the public narratives, the violence, the war, the displacement was alarming. Starvation at the increase. Hearing pregnant women killed and massacred. Young children, young girls being raped. It broke my heart. I'm a father of four school children. Another aspect of that experience was that we ran from my home with my wife and children to come and refuge in my barber shop. Guess how the shelling of bombs, guns everywhere. I remember a night I was so traumatized. I wore my shoe left and right. My wife, my children. Bullets were crossing everywhere. But I saw beyond the war. I saw social cohesion. I saw reconciliation. I saw peace. Even in that situation, my eyes was open. I saw peace. It's possible. In the heat of the war, my customers that comes to the barber shop became the people that we formed the United for Peace movement. Because I showed attention on the situation. Most of the displaced citizens, when they come across, it is in my barber shop that they will come and refuge. We give food, we give bread, we try to sustain them. What is moment, a very horrible experience. But the change came when my eyes was open in that situation. I saw the strength in the community. I saw the gift in the community, even at the heat of the war. Remember, I didn't have any prior background, either in peace building or conflict resolution, etc. But my heart was authentic. I felt the pains of the people. I felt the pains of the community. I said, something need to be done. Something need to be done. Somebody need to step in the gap. I begin to speak to my customers that is coming into the barber shop. Guess what? As I keep speaking my vision about the war, about how peace could be possible, they, after barbing their hair, they don't go, they remain. Then I start noticing that the group continue increasing, and I started making lists and names. And that is how United for Peace Against Conflict International was created. And the first thing that I did with my group was to say, we are going to Diokwe, that zone where the government, the United Nations said, nobody goes there, it's a red zone. I told my wife, I said, someone need to go to Diokwe. Someone need to bridge the gap. Someone need to stand in the gap. When I told my team after we declared our intention to create the local NGO that has that mission to bridging the gaps of mistrust and lowering walls of mistrust, to bridge confidence among the population. My wife was crying. I told my wife, Jesus gave his life. I'm not going to die, but we are going to bridge the gap. But I didn't have any prior background and experience. But my heart was authentic. It was so amazing that my team believes in me. But before we left, I love meditation. I love connecting to my inner self. 5 a.m. in the morning, I was in a meditation. And I heard a voice behind me speaking to me. Unite communities for peace to save humanity from destruction. My psychological maturity became possible to understand the realities of life by my communion in fellowship with the teaching of Jesus Christ. I know there are so many folks that is listening to me at this moment. You belong to one religious a group or the other, or you are not. But one thing that is so important is, have you asked yourself, who am I? What am I called for? What is my vocation? When you see the sufferings of humanity, when you see the militarism, the racism, the poverty, what do you say about the situation? This conference is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for each and every one of us in responsibility that the world is our home. The earth is our home. In 1968, the four astronauts captured this image of the earth, our living system, that defines our human oneness. But it's painful to see today that religion is weaponized, manipulated. Politics is weaponized and manipulated. Ethnicity, tribalism, name it, has broken our living system and make us to believe that we are different, so deep that we can fight the other in the sake of protecting our own clan of interests. But my psychological maturity through my spiritual development has made me to apprehend a perception of the reality that we are one. What affects one affects the other. The COVID is an indication that what happens to one happens to the other. We should care for our Mother Earth. It's our only value that we share together, notwithstanding your ideals, notwithstanding your values, notwithstanding your opinion. Our living system is our collective responsibility. This conference is a wake-up call that each and every one, every youth, wherever you are my other me. If I cannot reach where you are to take responsibility to stand in the gap, to bridge the gap. I took that step. I discovered myself, even beyond not having any background. But my heart was authentic. We went on that mission, which I will share with you, the images for you to see. It became the talk of the town. And that is what gave me an award in 2017. United Nations and many organizations asked me. The United Nations Civil Affairs in Cote d'Ivoire asked me, what did you tell? What's your approach? I said my heart was authentic. I could listen to their pains. I could hear the cry. I could stand in the gap. I assume responsibility of standing in the gap and being present. That was the beginning of the healing of the people from their individual pains and trauma. I represented faith and hope and love, both to the both sides that were conflicting. I went in the forest. I stood with the different clans and I told them peace is possible. And I have come that we together, we establish peace in Jukwe. And that was a success. So what am I trying to emphasize here? Advocacy is, to me, standing to challenge the change, to create a positive change from a compassionate heart. Your heart must be at the center of your action. I know that there are so many folks from different backgrounds, history, science, religion, have defined, shaped the way we see the other. I can understand. But one thing that I want to tell you is this. Go back into your heart and see the other as yourself. The message of Ubuntu reminds all that I am because you are. You are my other me. We are one. The human interconnectedness is the call for everyone hearing my voice. You are called to promote our living system. The advocacy is that we are one. The hope of survival is that human connectedness beyond our individual intersectionalities. I understand you hold so strong your ideals, your values. I understand. But this wake-up call, this conference organized by the Charter for Compassion, is for us to remember that we have a shared responsibility to preserve our Mother Earth. The war in Ukraine has affected the global supply chain. The war in Gaza with Israel, with the Hezbollah, with the Hamas, see the danger is causing in the Middle East. The increase in the death toll, the hunger, the poverty. Martin Luther King Jr. called it the triple evil: militarism, poverty, racism. We are called to stand for the well-being, for the safety of humanity. That is who we are. That is what we are called for. Notwithstanding the industries where you choose to advocate for climate change, for injustice, no matter the area you choose, compassionate action requires that your heart be at the center of your decision and your step you take. Relationships. I can define peace from my own point of view, and leadership. There are many definitions that have made the understanding of peace so complicated, and even leadership. Scholars, academians, even the historians, the science, the sociology, the anthropology, the psychology, the religious genius have defined with different experience. But one thing I want you to know is that peace is wellness plus well-being. And leadership, for me, is interaction plus relationship. What is about that relationship that is damaged? That is what we are called to heal. Without much saying, I will share a slide that I call the challenge to change. The emphasis I will be laying out is about psychological maturity. The growth process. How do we challenge to effect a social change consciously? Let me share my screen. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to share my screen. I hope. I don't know if. Sorry. We can see it. Okay. Good. But if you can see it, oh, thank you. Good. I hope my screen is visible enough. Thank you. But however, yeah, let me begin with the time that we have together. Um, Introduction to what peace leadership model means. I will jump a little bit because I have already said so much, but let me brief that it's an open-ended mutual practice for respect built on equal dignity, conscious listening, compassion, and empathy. It is the process of conflict transformation. It is a rational practice between individuals or more with different opinions to explore each other's perspective, uncovering a new social intelligence to release an unprecedented creativity, inventing common features that benefit all. It is driven on authentic communication and deep listening skills, with its quality of listening to learn, learning to listen mutually from the other story life narratives without critics, accusation, or condemnation. It facilitates intercultural civic reconciliation. Its methodology is mindfulness, approach is compassion, and essence is wisdom. Let's talk about this. Very crucial. The goal of this course is to provide an atmosphere in which persons, through self discovery, can move towards psychological maturity. This movement towards maturity calls for a deep and a sincere examination of attitude and values, and a willingness to change in the face of new insights and knowledge. In this course, we use 7 terms to describe aspect of the life process which leads to psychological maturity. This is very crucial. Remember, I talked about self-discovery and creating an enabling, flourishing environment for human potential to flourish. We need to understand that our living system are in structures, because if we want to advocate for change, we need to understand the connectedness and the connection between the structures and how it functions, the needs, the dialogue, the method, the nature, and the social outcome. Let's talk about this structure. This is everything that is reality. All. Everything from a grain of sand, a simple structure, to the order of the universe, a complex structure. Structure is the way things are. Everything is a structure, existing within a greater structure, related to and interdependence with all other structures. For example, a fish is a structure living within the structure of the ocean, related to all other fish, plant, and the ocean itself. On a physical level, is a structure which exists within a structure, the planet, and is dependent on other manner of structures, the sun, the earth, the water, the plants, and the animals, and the people. Structure determines what I can and cannot do. I cannot fly, but I can build an airplane. I can share ideas with you, but I cannot force you to accept them. I can know many things, but I cannot know everything. There will always be mystery. What is possible and impossible is determined by the unchangeable, dependable, ultimate structure we call natural laws. All the science is based on natural laws and cannot change natural laws. I can only discover, obey each new discovery as to our knowledge and understanding of this structure. We are constantly doing things once called impossible, but nothing in the ultimate structure changed to make this possible. We just discovered and obeyed natural laws set by the structure, and with each new discovery of basic truth and the structure of the individual's minds change. This, the changeable structure of the mind, is the consign of the cause. Seeing reality, changing attitude, and taking new actions. Structure determines the purpose of my life. There is an order, a plan, and a correct functioning for every structure. The purpose of all living things is to grow, and like the redwood must grow from a seed to a seedling, to a tree, and then give off its seed again in order to live. Man's destiny is to grow to his highest potential, to discover and claim the true purpose of his life, and act accordingly. Herein lies the hope and promise for our planet. Main point, the way of life for a man begins with his awareness that there is a reality, a greater authority, an ultimate structure outside himself to which he is subject to life requires obedience. Let's talk about function. The function of anything is determined by its structure. To ask what is the function of anything is to ask, how does it work? What does it do? What is the meaning? Why was it created? And to understand the function of a human being, one must ask this question of himself. Every structure has a function. To understand the correct function of anything is to know the purpose for which it was created. For example, a doctor must know how the kidney or liver is designed to function in order to diagnose malfunctions. If it is not functioning in the correct way, it is not doing what it is designed to do. When a person discovers, claims, and acts upon what he is designed to do, he experiences correct functioning. Function is dynamic, alive, and in the case of just like a machine, correct function is an automatic. In the case of a plant, it's natural. But a human being is more complex. He can function consciously or unconsciously. In other words, he can become aware of what his true purpose, potential is, and function accordingly. And he can remain unconscious and function on a hit of missed basics. Let me just talk about this. The human is a structure to function on a 4 levels: the physical, experiencing, sensing, mental, understanding, comprehending, emotional feelings, spiritual, seeking meanings. Let me pause here a little bit. I discovered that every one of us listening to my voice today, we are seeking for survival. We are seeking for well-being. But the question is, in that journey of discovery, on that journey of seeking for that survival and well-being, do we find meaning? Do we find integration? Do we find fulfillment? This is a question that needs to be addressed. The PowerPoint will be shared, don't worry. I will jump some certain points in order for us to arrive at a point that I want us to really navigate. Don't worry, I will give the PowerPoint to just for compassion to share with everyone. Let's talk about dialogue. Dialogue is the search to be in right relationship. It is a trial and error process of testing an idea or an assumption to see if it is valid. It is a way of discovering what works and what does not work. Dialogue exists in many dimensions. One can dialogue with nature, with people, within oneself, and with ideas. In short, dialogue is the interaction of the person with the struggle and the way things are. It involves the asking of questions: how, where, when, what, why. The purpose of dialogue is to discover answers to the questions: and what is the nature of the environment? What is the purpose of my existence? What do I need? What must I do for meaningful survival? What must I do to attain a psychological maturity? What must I do to reach my ultimate potential? Because of time, I will speak a little bit here. There are prerequisites which must be met in order for the dialogue to be successful. I appreciate the overlapping of the sharings that I have been learning from the youth-led sections and the keynote speakers. Things are being connected. That is the evidence that shows that we are one and we are here for one purpose: to make the world a better place. There are prerequisites which must be met in order for dialogue to be successful. Lead to discovery. One must genuinely desire to know, not just be curious. Maintain an attitude of openness in order to perceive clearly. Be willing to accept and act upon the truth thus perceived, regardless of how it may spring upon. Meaningful dialogue leads to discovery of the method, the way we must function to be in the right relationship. Each of us in relationship with the entire world. At this time in history, our willingness to enter into conscious, responsible dialogue means survival for mankind. The main point here is that for man to continue his experience and have meaning in his life, it is crucial that he search out answers to what life structures is asking of him in this time and place, and that he act on and what he discovers. I want to jump here to go to what I call social outcome. Very important. Social outcome. The world is a product of the people who inhabit it. If it is a good world, it is because the people have a good spirit. If it is a bad world, it is because the people have a bad spirit. And people change their nature. The world changes. The world is an expression of human nature. This we call social outcome. If the world is to change, it will be the result of many people changing. The social outcome we have now is the result of what has been set into time by persons. If we seek maturity in the world, we must first manifest in it ourselves. The change begins from us. People are under the illusion that it does not really make any difference how they live. The mission of this work is to help many people to see that they do make a difference in the world. When people see this reality, the world is open for them to embark on the path that leads to fulfillment, to the realization their highest potential to life. This is the social outcome men have dreamed of over the ages. It is a possibility, but it will become a reality only if a substantial number of people, you and I, a creative minority, see the possibility, commit themselves to its realization, and move forward in positive action. History has consistently shown time that a small group of dedicated people like you and I can change the world. The number of individuals has seldom been great. Only their commitment, the only thing preventing us from establishing a world fit for our children, a world without war and famine and greed, is this same dedication in a relatively small number of whole people. Any change we make set into time a new social outcome. There is a choice. It does make a difference. It starts with you and me. I will end here while I will just briefly show you what really happened. I don't know if you are seeing my second slide. I have to close this one to really share with this. Let me share my second slide. Yes. I believe you can see what I have been explaining, the impact. Here is it here. This is the typical example of the power of transformation of peace leadership model as a tool for conscious social change. I have discovered that an enemy is one whose story we have not heard. This is the group of people that was in the war that I went to facilitate. You can see me at the middle here. This is the typical example. The gaps were closed, enemies face to face, experiencing a new order of communication, to uncover a new social intelligence, to release an unprecedented creativity, inventing a future that benefits. I have discovered that story is the shortest distance between people, and it's difficult to hate anyone whose story you know. And story is the healing therapy. This is a very wonderful experience. This is just to show you that be the change in our work, self-leadership, responsibility, and being the change. This is the pro-social leadership responsibility, a transformative shift in the journey of leading with others by being a global citizen, change maker, an authentic artisan of peace, and a community peace builder. I want to stop sharing here and look up for questions in the chat. Feel free to ask questions so that it's almost 6. I have to wrap up in just 2 minutes. Any question? How do you get people to share their story? I get people to share their story in a very simple way, because each and every one has a story. And the greatest agony is an untold story. And the soul oldest memory is of union. And the soul deepest longing is of reunion. We need each other. All you need to do is create a safe space and educate them how to be a good storyteller, how to speak from the heart without critics, accusation, or condemnation, but exploring the humanity of the other, their anguish, their pains, their agony. And that is magic. When it's done in such a rational way, compassion is evident, empathy is evident. They will uncover a new social intelligence to release an unprecedented creativity, that to invent a future that benefits both. I hope I have answered your question. You can still follow me up with through my link if you want to dive deeper in Peace Leadership Model, a tool for conscious social change, which has 4 modulars: inner work, personal peace practice, interpersonal peace practice, community leadership peace practice, and environment or system leadership peace practice. Thank you so much. I love you all. Remember that an enemy is one whose story we have not heard, and it's difficult to hate anyone whose story you know. And story is a shortest distance between people. I love you all, and I hope to keep connecting with each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I still have 9 minutes, so I think my session is done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love you, folks. Stay blessed, and let's keep protecting our Mother Earth in heart, in compassion, and in love. I love you.